A Titan, sometimes colloquially called a god engine or god machine, is any one of several classes of massive, crude, robotic combat walkers fielded by the Titan legions of the Adeptus Mechanicus Collegia Titanica, or by the forces of Chaos's Dark Mechanicum. Originally, this term referred to many types of large combat walkers used by all of the different factions of the Milky Way galaxy. Titans are always considered the largest and most powerful types of war engines available to the different factions of the galaxy. Xenos Titans have now been renamed by Imperial scholars with the same titles for these war engines as the species that created them, such as the Aeldari Phantom or the Gargants of the Orcs. The only robotic combat walkers considered to be true Titans at the present time are Imperial Titans and the Chaos Titans of the Dark Mechanicum. Titans are the most sacred war machines of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and they are thought by the cult Mechanicus to be the greatest physical embodiments of the machine god in the material universe, rightly called god machines and god engines by the tech priests. Titans represent the real backbone of the Mechanicus's military might and are the heaviest ground units that can be deployed by the Imperium of man's armed forces. Every forge world of the Adeptus Mechanicus is protected by armed forces that include the Skitarii, Praetorian Servitors, and one or more of the Titan legions of the Collegia Titanica. The true scale of the largest Titans can be difficult to visualize. In the Winter Assault expansion to the computer game Warhammer 40,000, Dawn of War, an ancient fallen Imperator-class Titan, the largest type of battle Titan, can be seen. Its prone and half-buried wreckage stretches across an entire battlefield, and the barrel assembly of its right arm cannon alone is over 30 meters in diameter. The first Titans were built during the Age of Strife on Mars as a way for the newborn religion of the cult Mechanicus and its Mechanicum government, the ancient pre-Horus heresy predecessor of the Adeptus Mechanicus, to effectively fight its enemies in the raging wars to reclaim the Red Planet's irradiated surface from feral mutants and insane thinking machines. After Mars had been secured by the tech priests, the Titans later accompanied the early Mechanicum colonial fleets sent blindly through the warp from Mars that established the first Forge worlds, leading to the creation of the Titan legions, armed forces made up entirely of Titans specific to that Forge world. Most Titans stand between 15 and 60 meters, about 50 to 196 feet, tall, though the extremely powerful and very rare Emperor Titans can stand up to 150 meters, 492 feet, in height. There are a variety of different classes that a Titan can belong to, but all Titan legions ultimately serve the division of the Adeptus Mechanicus called the Collegia Titanica. Most Titan classes belong to one of three separate physical grades arranged by size and combat strength: Scout Titans, Battle Titans, and the largest and most powerful, the Emperor Titans. Scout Titans include many smaller, more mobile classes of the great war engines which are used for reconnaissance and infantry fire support missions by most Titan legions. The Battle Titans are the most commonly deployed classes of Titan and provide the backbone of any Titan Legion strength. The rare Emperor Titans are the true kings of the battlefield in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, and the two classes of these Titans are used to provide a Titan Legion's primary offensive and defensive power. Due to their importance and high standing in the Imperium as a result of the advanced technology used in their creation, all Titans are important enough to be given their own high Gothic names when built. This is represented by giving each a two-word high Gothic name, always some venerated title or concept, usually from the creed of the imperial cult. Examples include Aquila Ignis, Regalis Annihilatus, Vitus Falco, Imperius Eradicus, Imperius Belladon, Apocalyptus Credo, Imperius Brontos, Imperius Excelsior, Dies Irae, Optimus Ligus, Imperius Augusta, and Imperius Dominatus. Similarly, the loss of a Titan is considered tragic and mourned openly by the Forge world that produced it. Imperial Titans are unique in the sense that their computer mind cores, or machine spirits in the lexicon of the Mechanicus, are sentient and even self-aware, albeit in a highly erratic manner. This is in contrast with the usually non-sentient machine spirits or onboard computer systems found in many other Imperial war machines like tanks and armored vehicles. In the Titan comic, the newly connected Princeps was formally greeted by the Titan Imperius Dictatio inside its mental landscape. There was also the Titan Laudator Magnificat, which was forcibly reactivated after falling in combat. This proved disastrous. The God Engine's mind core had suffered severe psychological trauma from its death and began attacking everything in sight in its mindless rage. Most Imperial Titans are roughly humanoid in shape, but with thick lower legs, a hunched head, and an oversized torso. Forward-oriented main weapons mount directly into where the arms would be, and additional weapons are often found on the chassis. These configurations, called patterns, vary, and most Titans are built on these precepts. However, the actual design of the chassis can vary greatly, so only the absolutely basic features, such as leg joints and weapon hardpoints, are constant. This is most evident in the Warhound-class Titans. The Lucius pattern looks more geometric and broader than the Mars pattern, the form of which is more rounded and animalistic. The Rapier-class Titan is an Imperial Titan that was most commonly used during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy. It is a Scout Titan and is the smallest known class of Imperial or Chaos Titan, being even lighter armed and swifter than a Warhound-class Scout Titan. During the final years of the Horus Heresy, it was noted that the Rapier was becoming an ever rarer sight among the orders of battle of the Titan legions of both traitors and loyalists. Warhound-class Titans are the scouts or flanking elements of a Titan legion and are the most common form of what are called Scout Titans by the Collegia Titanica. Appearance-wise, the Warhound differs structurally the most from other Imperial Titans. It possesses an anthropomorphized, canine-like shape, reverse-jointed legs, and shoulder weapon mounts. Warhounds are lightly armed and armored compared to other Titans, although still fearsome when facing the standard armored combat vehicles deployed by the other intelligent species of the galaxy. They are the only Titans to be normally deployed by the Titan legions in packs of 2 members, as compared to the larger Battle and Emperor Titans, which usually operate alone. The Warhound Titans can only operate in a maximum of 2 as a result of the actions of Chaos Warhound Titans during the Horus Heresy. When the traitor Titan legions landed on the throne world at the end of the Horus Heresy during the Siege of Terra, Horus let them terrorize Terran civilians in squad-sized, 10+ units of Warhounds. As a result of this blood-stained history, the Adeptus Terra during the Reformation of the Imperium in the time of rebirth after the Horus Heresy ordered the Titan legions to never allow Warhound Titans to operate in squads larger than 2 Titans to prevent such horrors from being perpetrated upon humanity again. Available in several different patterns produced by the various Forge worlds with different weapon loadouts, Warhound Scout Titans stand 17.08 meters, approximately 56 feet tall. On the battlefield, the Warhound has been proven to be very effective, as its double-barreled turbo laser can destroy super-heavy armored vehicle enemies with ease. The Dire Wolf-class Titan is considered a heavy Scout Titan, which places it in size between the Warhound-class Scout Titan and the smallest of the true Battle Titans, the Reaver-class Titan. It was deployed by the Loyalist and Traitor Titan legions during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy. Dire Wolf Heavy Scout Titans were much sturdier and more heavily armored than their Warhound Scout Titan counterparts. The Dire Wolf was easily distinguished from the Warhound by its reinforced frame and unorthodox arm weapons. The Dire Wolf carried its massive main weapon on the back of its torso, sacrificing some mobility for added stability to handle the recoil and weight of this payload. Hunched forward, the Titan's heavy armor plating and stout legs provided stability and durability. The Dire Wolf was armed with unusual pintle-mounted weapons on its arms in the form of Ardex Defensor Megabolters, which offered some defense against enemy knights, allowing the Dire Wolf to focus on lining up a firing solution with its main carapace-mounted neutron laser weapons. Neutron lasers required a massive amount of power and generated incredible heat, requiring sophisticated additional modifications to the carapace and chassis of the dire wolf. Some dire wolf titans were armed instead with a carapace-mounted volcano cannon, a weapon so massive and powerful that it is usually only found on Reaver-class titans. Additional cooling and structural modifications to the carapace and chassis of the dire wolf were required to accommodate such a large weapon. The Reaver-class Titan is a medium-sized Titan and the smallest of the classes of battle Titans. They are considerably more durable than Warhounds and are able to take roughly twice as much damage before succumbing. This extra durability is probably a result of the unusual placement of the Titan's plasma generator on the back of the main carapace, whereas in most Titans the generator is located at the core, hence the term power core. This placement ensures that the Reaver Titan can take more frontal damage than other Titans of the same approximate class, but is at a severe disadvantage when in cluttered environments, cities or canyons. A Reaver Titan stands 25.21 meters, approximately 83 feet in height. The Reaver is also described as an older design of Titan than the Warlord. The weapons mounted are variable. They can mount some of the more powerful Battle Titan weapons, although Scout Titan weapons are more common. Most of the patterns of the Reaver carry Titan-grade multiple rocket launchers on their carapace mounting. Unlike Warhounds, Reaver-class Titans can use close combat weapons, which are extremely effective in Titan-scale melee battles. However, it is suggested that Reavers are becoming increasingly rare in Imperial armies, and it is possible that the technological secrets to their manufacture have been lost to the adeptus Mechanicus Forge worlds, a common fate for the more advanced Imperial technologies. For these reasons, Reaver-class Titans usually perform fire support roles, avoiding direct combat. The Mars pattern Reaver-class Titan's carapace mounts a multiple rocket launcher and turbo laser destructors on each arm. The Lucius pattern's carapace bears a rocket launcher, with the arms carrying a volcano cannon and Gatling blaster. There's also a fire support variant of the Lucius, with multiple rocket launchers on all three mounts. In the past, Reaver Titans were sometimes given different subclass names to distinguish their weapons' loadout. These were the Goth, Fire Support Titan, the Vandal, Inspirational/Morale-Boosting Titan, and the Hun, a tactically flexible weapons loadout. The Punisher-class Titan was a rare class of Imperial Titan that possessed 3 legs. A Punisher-class Titan, the Modus Destructor, was deployed to Ullanor Prime during the War of the Beast in the mid-32 and Millennium to defend the Adeptus Mechanicus command center established on that world during the Imperial invasions. The Modus Destructor was armed with 2 Teslan accelerators and 2 underslung plasma annihilators. The Executor-class Titan is a battle Titan of the Collegia Titanica. It was part of the first Imperial strike force deployed to defeat the Orcs on the world of Ullanor during the War of the Beast in the mid-32 and Millennium. The Apocalypse-class Titan is a rare type of battle Titan of the Collegia Titanica that was deployed during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy. It was noted to have fought during the battles of the Thramas Crusade with the Legio Victorum Wand. The Carnivore-class Titan was a rare class of battle Titan employed by both the Traitor and Loyalist Titan legions during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy. It saw heavy action in the Battle of Beta Garman, also known as the Titan Death, during the Heresy. The Carnivore-class Titan stood in size somewhere between a Reaver-class Titan and a Nightgaunt-class Titan. The Mirage-class Titan is a battle Titan of the Collegia Titanica that was comparable in size and firepower to a Carnivore-class Titan or a Warlord-class Titan. It was deployed during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy. The Warbringer Nemesis-class Titan is a battle Titan that stands between the Reaver and Warlord-class Titans in size and power. It is used by the various Titan legions of the Collegia Titanica and the Chaos Titans of the Dark Mechanicum. Like a god of destruction, the Warbringer Nemesis rains explosive death on its foes. This immense war machine is designed to obliterate the largest and most indomitable enemies at extreme range. The Quake Cannon mounted on its back is capable of demolishing fortresses or even felling other Titans with a single gargantuan shell. Similarly, The Titan's myriad other armaments allow it to wreak ruin on aircraft, armored columns, and massed infantry formations. Warbringer Nemesis Titans are renowned for their bellicose machine spirits, artificial intelligences, with numerous Binharic canticles speaking of the Titans locking onto targets and assuming firing positions before their tech-adept crews are even aware of the approaching threat. Warlord-class Titans are a larger and more powerful type of battle Titan than its counterpart, the smaller Reaver class. They appear to be the most common class of battle Titan in use by the Titan legions, and many Forge worlds field their own patterns. The Warlord is much larger than the aging Reaver-class Titan, putting its height at 32.76 meters, approximately 108 feet. The Warlord Titan is also able to withstand a great deal more damage than the Reaver. However, there is considerable conflict in the Imperial records concerning this matter. A Warlord Titan was also listed as approximately 33 meters, 110 feet tall, according to the scale diagram in the Warhammer 40,000 Apocalypse Rulebook. Other accounts have stated it to be as large as 200 meters, 656 feet. Depictions of the Warlord in Imperial artwork are even less consistent, sometimes showing it to be hundreds of meters tall. The Warlord Titan is also able to withstand considerably more damage than the Reaver, as they are encased in layered armor and powerful void shielding, and armed with weapons that are capable of reducing armies to ash. The Warlord-class Titan has 4 Battle Titan weaponry hardpoints on the shoulders and arms, allowing for a greater variety of weapon configurations. While Scout Titan weapon batteries can be mounted, Warlords usually mount Battle Titan grade weaponry. There is even a specialist class based on the Warlord design, the rare Psi Titans, where psychic weaponry is added for use against demonic entities. Warlord-class Titans can also be organized into mixed battle groups with Reaver-class Titans, 3 of each class of Titan. These battle groups can be armed and used as the group's commanding senior Princeps sees fit, but they work together to complete a common objective. In general, the Princeps of the more powerful or oldest Titan in a group is the commander of the battle group. The colossal Mars Alpha pattern Warlord Titan is among the most ancient and feared of the Imperium's war machines. Forged on the Red Planet itself, it is worshipped and venerated as the Omnissiah's will incarnate, and each god engine is encased in layered armor and powerful void shielding, and armed with weapons that are capable of reducing armies to ash. In addition to its Ardex Defensor Mauler Bolt Cannon and Lascanon turrets, support weapons that would be considered main armaments on smaller war machines, the Mars Alpha pattern Warlord is commonly fitted with a pair of carapace-mounted triple-barreled laser blasters and 2 Bellicosa pattern volcano cannons. The Warlord Titans were the first to be introduced in the epic scale, featured as a box set with 6 plastic models and styrofoam buildings. The accompanying rules were meant for Heresy-era Titan versus Titan combat. Simple rules for interactions with vehicles and infantry were subsequently published, and the Epic Space Marine box set developed the full initial rules for infantry and vehicles. Rules for normal Warhammer 40,000 scale Warlord-class Titans were introduced in the 2007 Warhammer 40,000 supplement, Apocalypse. However, no model to represent it on the field has been produced by Games Workshop or its subsidiaries thus far, encouraging players to build their own from scratch should they wish to field such a weapon in their army. The expansion Apocalypse presented rules for the Warlord Titan. It can equip with all Warhound-class Titan weapons and has access to a variety of anti-infantry and destroyer weapons, including the Vortex missile. However, it cannot engage close targets effectively. There is currently no model for the Warhammer 40,000 range, requiring scratch construction for the modeler. If one is to construct a Warlord, it should be approximately 2 feet tall to be of the proper scale alongside the other models. According to the out-of-print Adeptus Titanicus game, Warlord-class Titans are sometimes differentiated according to their weaponry. A Nightgaunt Warlord has 2 or more assault weapons. A Deathbringer Warlord has a tactical, that is flexible, weapon fit. a Nemesis warlord has 2 or more support weapons, while an Eclipse warlord will have given some weapon hardpoints over to inspiring religious relics of the Imperial cult, such as the devotional bell. The Warmaster class Titan is what the Adeptus Mechanicus classifies as a heavy battle Titan, which makes it amongst the most powerful classes of Titans in the Imperium of Man. Looming over even a Warlord class battle Titan at approximately 40.91 meters, 134 feet in height, the Warmaster is equipped with a pair of Suzerain class plasma destructors that turn anything they hit into molten slag, a Titan-sized Revelator missile launcher and a pair of turbo laser destructors, or similarly destructive weapons, mounted under the carapace. For protection, the Warmaster is equipped with 7 Void Shield generators. 6 Servitor Clades also mean that repairing damage is easier for the heavy battle Titans commanding Princeps. It took a conflict on the scale of the Horus Heresy, a war that resulted in the nascent Imperium being torn apart and the Space Marine legions turning against one another, for the ancient Mechanicum to unleash the Warmaster class heavy battle Titan. With the virtue of hindsight, it is perhaps unsurprising that the Mechanicum kept knowledge of this mighty god engine from the rest of mankind, for ever was the cult Mechanicus built upon a foundation of secrets. Yet the Warmaster Titan was not a tool of political power nor a pillar of strength, but a weapon of apocalyptic death and destruction, shrouded and slumbering until a Mechanicum Forge world stood at the precipice of extinction. On that day, the Warmaster Titan would stride to war, leaving naught but blood and ash in its wake. Its existence was a protected secret within the highest echelons of the Mechanicum, and it was never spoken of openly to peers nor outsiders. A Warmaster Iconoclast Heavy Battle Titan is a variant of the Warmaster Titan that has been redesigned to take the lead in close-quarters melee combat and the destruction of static fortifications and defensive emplacements. When reports of the Warmaster Iconoclast variant first emerged during the Horus Heresy, many on both sides of the Civil War presumed it simply a retrofit of the standard Warmaster class Titan. Indeed, in appearance the two Titans are similar, based as they are upon the same chassis and possessed of similar defensive and offensive capabilities. Yet it is the beating heart of the Iconoclast that sets it apart, for within each one dwells a machine spirit of noticeable ferocity, its lust for war and bellicose demeanor far more akin to that of a frenzied animal than that of the anima housed within other god engines. When awakened, the machine spirit of a Warmaster Iconoclast class Titan desires nothing more than to march into the thickest fighting, lay waste to the edifices of its foe, and slake its anger on any who would defy it. The sheer potency of the Warmaster Iconoclast ensures only the most self-assured of Princeps have the strength of will necessary to tame the beast within it. In battle, the Warmaster Iconoclast serves as the Omnissiah's vanguard, often the first god engine to march when the enemy cowers within seemingly impenetrable strongholds. While the apocalyptic might of each god engine can lay waste to swaths of enemy territory, the Warmaster Iconoclast is specifically equipped to face fortresses prepared for more conventional methods of siege warfare. Layers of void shield surrounding a fortification offer little protection, for the god engine simply strides into the teeth of the enemy guns and through the shields. It is in close quarters warfare that the Warmaster Iconoclast truly excels, for face-to-face with the enemy is where it can unleash its barely restrained wrath, raking entrenched foes with flamers, melt a cannon, and sustained Gatling bursts. What little remains is brought low by close-quarters weapons specifically engineered for the Warmaster Iconoclast, its Cryas siege drill tearing through thickened armor plating with ease, and wide sweeps of its Desolator chainsword eradicating entire squadrons of armored vehicles. Once all within reach have fallen, the Iconoclast marches forth once more, never to rest until only the true servants of the Omnissiah remain. The Warmaster Iconoclast is a god engine designed with singular purpose, a tool created for nothing short of obliteration. Even its plasma reactors feature modifications intended for engaging the foe up close, with dedicated void shunts designed to weather the fiercest firepower and kinetic transducers that utilize the Titan's movement to empower its weapons. Those few who know of the War Master iconoclast class's existence fear its arrival upon the battlefield, for the march of such a god engine renders the impenetrable into little more than an inconvenience. The super heavy battle titans called Emperor Titans are subdivided into two known classes, the Imperator class Titan and Warmonger class Titan. Of these, the Imperator class Emperor Titan is a general-purpose assault platform, whereas the Warmonger class Emperor Titan is a dedicated long-range fire support unit with advanced fire control and targeting systems. Both are extremely powerful weapon systems and are often unmatched by an enemy force on any battlefield where they are deployed. They are loaded to the brim with pre-installed weapons, and their mounts can handle Titan weapons too big for even other battle Titans. They do not carry any of the close combat weapons, as their sole focus is on extreme firepower. Emperor Titans are very rare and can crush many weaker war engines. This type of Titan has legs so large they can house a full company of adeptus Mechanicus or Astra Militarum troops for defense and assault assistance. These Titans can stand up to 150 meters, approximately 492 feet, tall. More than a war machine, these tremendous Titans are also icons of worship to the Imperial cult Mechanicus, as they are seen as an avatar of the Omnissiah. The most noteworthy feature of an Emperor Titan is the fortified castle structure that occupies its entire upper half. These cathedrals possess ornate features like spired towers and stained glass windows. The building is heavily armed and more than capable of contributing to combat. Due to the structure's prominent position on the Titan's back and shoulders, the Titan's head is hunched more than usual on the otherwise humanoid body, almost level with the arm weaponry. In Winter Assault, the planet Lorn Fiv houses the fallen Mars pattern Imperator-class Emperor Titan Dominatus. The size of the Imperator-class Titan is driven home by the fact that in the last mission, most of the map is dominated by the half-buried fallen Titan, laying on its back, with exposed parts protruding through the earth like massive buildings. Once the Titan is partially repaired and powered up, even the guns studding its joints, labeled as minor hull defense weapons, are able to destroy heavy vehicles in just a handful of shots. During the Dark Crusade, the planet Cronus was discovered to be home to the right arm and Hellstorm cannon of the Imperator-class Emperor Titan Aquila Ignis, dismembered in a titanic battle during the Horus Heresy 10 millennia prior. The Hellstorm cannon was so large that its firepower carved a huge trench in front of where it lay. In the game, the fallen cannon's capacitors can be slowly charged by an entire array of powerful thermoplasma generator buildings. When fired, any units that are caught in the trench that mark its firing path are instantly destroyed. No unit in the game is durable enough to survive even a single blast. Discovered upon the lost Forge world of Sharonia, the artificially intelligent Castigator-class Titan was a completely autonomous bipedal weapons platform, the first and only one of its kind ever built. Called the Father of Titans, the Castigator claimed to be the original Titan, as it was first designed during the Dark Age of technology, and that all subsequent Titan designs were but crude and incomplete copies of it. It was originally lost on the Forge world of Sharonia during the Age of Technology, and remained lost even when the planet was pulled into the warp thousands of standard years later. During its time in the warp, the Titan's artificial general intelligence made a pact with the Black Legion that had established an outpost on Sharonia. By allowing a demon to possess it, it would be empowered by the warp. The Castigator and Sharonia remained in the warp for a Terran millennia, and its artificial intelligence forgot much of what happened during that time, including being possessed. The Castigator was discovered by the Imperium when the planet re-emerged from the warp by a force of Grey Knights led by Justicar Alaric and his battle brothers. The only known Castigator-class Titan was ultimately destroyed by these Grey Knights. When Alaric confronted the Castigator, its artificial intelligence did not believe it was possessed by a demon until Alaric convinced it of the truth, at which point the Titan's possessing demon appeared, and it was slain by Alaric. Alaric then destroyed the Castigator, while his battle brothers Devorn and Halvarn destroyed the Titan's STC database to prevent either from falling into the hands of nearby Chaos forces. However, fragments of data from the Titan's STC were collected by the Adeptus Mechanicus for archiving and study. The Castigator's design was stored in a standard template construct database also present on Charonia. As a result of its ancient provenance, the Castigator made use of highly advanced, long-lost technologies such as rapid self-repair routines and a synthetic, muscle-like locomotive system. Standing larger than even the Imperator-class Emperor Titans, the head of the Castigator notably did not jut from its chest as on most Imperial Titan patterns, but actually was above the shoulders, matched by an elegant yet super-heavy and very well-armored chassis and impossibly graceful movement. It was indeed far superior to any class of Titan utilized by the Adeptus Mechanicus or any other intelligent starfaring species in the galaxy. It was also the only known Titan controlled autonomously by an artificial general intelligence rather than a human Princeps and other crew, and the only known Titan to have been made by an STC. Its weapons included an arm-mounted melee weapon and a super-heavy multi-barreled cannon that fired demons. The ability to fire demons was later found to be due to the pact the Castigator's artificial general intelligence had formed with the Chaos Gods through the Black Legion. Thousands of standard years before the rise of the Imperium, mankind reached out to the stars and settled many faraway worlds. Among the apparatus of colonization were formidable war machines known as Knights, which existed to protect the early human settlers from any threat. The strongholds constructed from the remains of ancient Terran Long March colony starships are ruled by the descendants of the first human settlers of those far-flung worlds, mighty fighters who go to war in their towering armored battlesuits and who are sworn to protect and guard the Imperial citizens who inhabit their worlds. These proud and haughty warriors can trace their bloodlines back to Terra itself and are colloquially known as nobles in Imperial society and as the Questor Imperialis in formal High Gothic. Over the millennia, the pilots of these massive warsuits have established a rich culture, aristocratic knight houses each sworn to the defense of their homeworld, bound by oaths of fealty to the Golden Throne of Terra or the Adeptus Mechanicus of Mars. Knights are small combat walkers that are a one-man version of a Titan. However, a knight is smaller and less capable in combat than even the smallest class of true Titan utilized by the Titan Legions, the Warhound-class Scout Titan. Knights normally deploy in squadrons comprised of several of these war machines. These ancient battlesuits stand 30 to 40 Terran feet tall, are protected by nearly impenetrable ion shields, and armed with a devastating array of heavy weapons. Imperial Knights are colossal war machines that tower over the battlefield. They are propelled into battle by powerful servos and have the power to kick over tanks and crush soldiers into red paste. Vulnerable limbs and joints are protected by sweeping armor plates of adamantium and supported by an incorporated ion shield, which responds to the thought commands of its noble pilot. The presence of just one of these towering engines of destruction is enough to change the course of a battle, and only the Titans of the Collegia Titanica are more feared by the enemies of mankind. Imperial Titans become increasingly well-armored as their size increases. They also have void shield generators to augment existing protection, which are able to absorb destructive energy on the Titan's behalf, although there is a limit to how much they can handle. They are directly controlled by the Titan's Princeps and can be left running after having absorbed dangerous amounts of energy to allow for extra protection. This, however, has a high chance of permanently damaging the generator. Void shields always come in sets to maximize the likelihood of at least one remaining up after a barrage, and larger Titans may have as many as 6 or more fields. They cannot, however, defend against everything. They cannot, for instance, block melee weapon strikes and special technology like the Titan Warp Missile, which bypasses normal defenses by traveling through the immaterium. It is also theoretically possible for a truly massive amount of small arms fire to eventually bring down a shield, giving infantry a remote chance of affecting a small Titan. For practical purposes, however, most infantry weapons would have little chance of damaging the Titan's armor, even if no void shields protected it. Furthermore, a mere fraction of a Titan's return fire, or even a Titan's ability to physically crush attackers, makes this an ill-advised option for infantry, except in the most desperate of situations. Emperor Titans are also commonly equipped with point defense weapons to protect themselves against infantry and aircraft that cannot be effectively acquired by the targeting systems of their larger-scale weaponry. Carapace-mounted multi-lasers are often employed in this respect, as are more exotic weapons for dealing with aircraft. Like the Space Marines of the adeptus astartes, each Titan Legion or Titan Order has its own complex system of heraldry. These are closely tied to the Legio's history and victories, as well as their homeworld of origin, and are often the embodiment of the individual Legio's personality and collective character. Over the Imperium's history, the Titan Legions have changed their colors and patterns, but less than might be supposed. Tradition and pride run deep in every Legio. Even the colors of the ancient Legio Titanicus were kept and transferred to their successor Legios during the Horus Heresy and the subsequent Great Scouring. During the time of the Horus Heresy, the Legios and the newly forming orders retained their colors as more than a mark of each order. The colors became badges of loyalty to the Emperor or to War Master Horus. Each order of Titans has its own emblem and colors. For example, the colors of the Divisio Militaris Order of the Legio Ignatum are red and gold. All its Titans are painted in these two colors. Its emblem of a wasp in a blue-bordered white triangle is painted on the carapace of each of its Titans, and each has the banner of the Collegia Titanicas Divisio Militaris mounted on its carapace. On the lower fairing of each leg, so as to be visible to ground troops, is the Titan's class symbol. Each Titan has its own personal Princeps, honor banner, or victory banner hanging from its waist. This bears the badge of the Legio and, in the case of the fire wasps, white skulls as victory symbols. Individual crews often attach additional kill banners to the weapons of their Titans, recording the number of kills each weapon has scored. This often includes some unofficial emblem adopted by the Titan's Princeps or by the Moderatus in charge of the weapons. Some Titans also have personal emblems, slogans, and the like painted on their carapace, weapons, or leg fairings, and in many Legios crews are permitted a great degree of freedom in personalizing their Titans. The basic colors of the Legio and its badges must, of course, be retained and respected. In the aftermath of the Horus Heresy, the loyal Titan legions of the Collegia Titanica began adding purity seals to their Titans. These huge seals, very similar to their smaller counterparts utilized by individual Space Marines of the adeptus astartes, were made of soft metal and applied by the tech priests of the adeptus Mechanicus as a mark of purity and a ward against corruption. Painted and inscribed with runes, decorated with long ribbon banners, the seals are still placed upon Titans. They are a remembrance of the shameful days of the heresy when thousands of Titans were turned against the Emperor by the dark influence of chaos. During the Great Scouring, the Titans also carried a campaign pennant on the Divisio Militaris banner. This long white flag was added to the Titans as a mark of loyalty and usually bore a loyalist slogan, Per Fide Pergendi, or Bellum Justum, translated in High Gothic as Treachery Purged and Just War, respectively, were popular examples. Such banners are rarely used today, for few campaigns have ever required such devotion and fanaticism as were needed to combat the heresy. The traitor Titan legions of the Horus Heresy maintained their old Legio's colors in most cases after the conflict: the black, white, and yellow of the Fire Masters, the black and orange of the Legio Furians, and the black, white, and red of the Legio Mortis. Imperial banners, however, were universally replaced by flags showing the Eye of Horus, the mark of rebellion and fealty to the War Master. The commander of a Titan is an individual who is a member of the Adeptus Mechanicus's Collegia Titanica, called the Princeps, a rare individual in that they can retain their sanity after connecting with the machine spirit, computerized artificial intelligence, of the Titan through an MIU, Mind Impulse Unit neural interface. The Princeps controls the Titan by means of the mental link provided by the MIU. Using this ancient technology, the Princeps merges his or her consciousness with the Titan's sentient machine spirit, its artificial intelligence. The Mind Impulse Unit enables this link by creating an interactive and immersive sensory space, sometimes referred to as the Manifold, in which the Princeps can comprehend their war engine and their environment when they become the towering war engine. The Titan is operated in enforced cooperation with the machine spirit through mental commands issued in the Manifold by the Princeps. Such neural enmeshing is extremely taxing, and most Princeps cannot bear the strain of controlling all of a Titan's systems, and those who do only can for short periods of time. Thus, the Princeps must be assisted in operating the war machine by junior officers called Moderati, whose purpose is to operate some of the Titan systems in their commander's stead. To establish the link between the machine spirit and the human mind requires that the Princeps submit to extensive cybernetic augmentation of his or her central nervous system, either by accepting the implantation of several cybernetic implants at the back of the neck and skull, a series of implants in the spine which enable the linking of the MIU to the spinal cord, or even undergoing entombment in an amniotic tank, with large parts of the body rewired to accommodate cybernetic interaction with the Titan. Additionally, some Titan legions utilize auxiliary haptic connectors, though others discard such measures as too delicate and too easily compromised to be placed in a war engine. As mentioned, some Titan Princeps are interred within an amniotic tank, a device filled with a jelly-like polycarbon fluid in which the individual is suspended and equipped with augmenters and voxcasters which allow the person within to communicate with their surroundings. The device acts as a complete life support unit, handling all of the vital bodily functions of the Princeps within. The fluid's function is to suspend the individual within the casket, greatly lessening the strain on their nervous system, and to create a stable neurochemical environment. Most usually, it is also a carrier of nutrients and oxygen, and in such a case the human within is modified to breathe it through his or her lungs. Sometimes, however, the fluid does not fulfill this function, and in this case the life support unit will provide external blood oxygenation and removal of excess carbon dioxide, which is then once again supplied into the body and into the right atrium. To facilitate such a change, the Princeps heart will possess an artificially created foramen ovale, a hole between the upper chambers of the heart, allowing the blood flowing into the right atrium to bypass the lungs, which perform no function while in the tank, and enter the left atrium, from where it flows into the left ventricle and is further distributed across the body. Such an artificial circulatory system, as well as the body's suspension in amniotic fluids, closely resembles that of a gestating fetus within its mother's womb. Due to their near-complete uselessness, the hands and feet of a Princeps interred in an amniotic tank are sometimes amputated and replaced with augmetic haptic sheaths that serve as a part of the broader Mind Impulse Unit. In addition, the eyes are occasionally removed, and the sense of sight, along with others, is replaced by the sensors and auspexes of the Titan and those built into the amniotic casket. Eye sockets then serve as another medium of connection for the individual to the Mind Impulse Unit, possibly making use of the conveniently placed ocular nerves. The cybernetic link created via an amniotic interface is much deeper than that attained using hard plugs, which makes disconnection from the MIU much harder. It is a complex ritual that can only be performed by a senior tech priest, and if not carried out appropriately, the Princeps in question can suffer severe mental and neural trauma. Internment in an amniotic tank allows the Princeps within to enmesh with the Titan's machine spirit more completely than they would ever be able to utilizing only hard plug connection. This greater and even more immersive connection grants an advantage in comprehension of the war engine and speed of reaction over a Princeps using the more traditional connection methods. A Princeps utilizing amniotic interfacing is also at all times in remote communion with their war engine, even when the Mind Impulse unit is deactivated and the Titan itself is shut down. Because of this permanent neural connection, these Princeps suffer none of the symptoms of withdrawal or the pain of separation, which are the domain of pilots using standard hard plug connection. However, due to this constant mind link, and because of the atrophied state of their bodies, they are more exposed to the Mind Impulse unit's effects on the psyche. This is only natural, for as the body atrophies and grows weaker from lack of use, the mind further withdraws into the depths of the manifold, and the personality is degraded. The human within, slowly but surely, is detached from their humanity, and eventually becomes nothing more than a dysfunctional part of the machine, their consciousness lost in the artificial mental landscape created by the Mind Impulse unit. For this reason, many Princeps hesitate to embrace amniotic immersion despite its advantages and fear the consequences it would bring, while some other members of a Titan's crew view such individuals with a measure of unease and uncertainty. Still, amniotic interfacing offers considerable advantages, and for this reason its use is standard practice in some Titan legions, and some patterns of Titans require it by design. Princeps will also be modified for internment in an amniotic tank in order to save their lives, for example after they sustain great physical or mental trauma, as often occurs after surviving the destruction of a Titan, or when their addiction to the link grows severe enough that they may not be able to bear disconnection from the MIU. Amniotic immersion is then used to preserve their ruined bodies and to keep their sanity intact through the permanent connection to the Mind Impulse unit it allows. When the Princeps is linked to a Titan's MIU, they feel the Titan's body as if it was their own. Their hands become weapon arms, their senses are turned into powerful auspexes, and their skin becomes the thick adamantium hull, an experience of supremacy and escape from human frailty that addicts every Princeps to his or her link with a Titan. The Princeps is then able to command the Titan intuitively. They merely need to think of undertaking an action, and the machine complies. During this operation, the Princeps does not lose consciousness of their own body and is able to simultaneously move and act as normal within the Titan's cockpit. It requires a strong will to maintain this connection, and Titans can go out of control on rampages of destruction should their Princeps fail to maintain dominance over its sentience. Particularly ancient and war-worn Titans are known to hold neural imprints of all their previous Princeps personalities in their machine spirit. There has also been noted rare instances where a Princeps has died while connected to the Titan, thus creating a digital ghost of themselves that remains inside the Titan's machine spirit. This is often referred to as a ghost in the link. The process of linking the human mind to a god machine is very difficult and dangerous, as a Titan is possessed of a ferociously potent machine spirit, one that is unlike any other, harboring its own savage and instinctive intelligence. The Princeps must break the machine's instinctive opposition to control and bind it to their will, a feat requiring enormous willpower. Because of this, Princeps are rare individuals, and one of the tasks the Collegia Titanica carries out is to discover them wherever they can be found and train them to command the colossal war engines. Whilst normally the adeptus Mechanicus searches for its personnel within the faithful of the cult Mechanicus, the sheer rarity of such individuals requires the Mechanicus to search in the broader populace of the Imperium. Barely 1 in 10 million possess the necessary qualifications and mental abilities to serve as a Princeps, and even fewer of this number make it through the training to finally command a war engine. Because of this reality, Princeps are immensely valuable individuals, and their home forge world will spare no effort to recover them should they go missing in action, and if the slimmest chance exists that they are still alive. There are 2 ways in which one can become a Princeps: undergoing training in Collegia Titanica academies, as mentioned above, or advancing from the rank of a Moderatus to a full Princepture, which is usually the command of a Warhound-class Scout Titan. There is also a perverse effect to the mind link. It is highly addictive to the human mind. From the moment they manage to dominate their Titan's machine spirit, the Princeps will actively crave being linked to his war engine, for the feeling of becoming a godlike machine of destruction is impossibly intense, and living as a mere human eventually becomes intolerable for some Princeps. Alas, this withdrawal also accelerates the Princeps' descent into madness, straining their mind when they are not linked to their mighty war machine. If a Princeps does not fall in battle, they will ultimately fall to the machine spirit of their Titan when their will finally snaps. Being linked to the Titan's mind impulse unit is a considerable effort in itself, and controlling the war machine systems precisely is difficult. Most Princeps are incapable of controlling all of a Titan's functions simultaneously due to the sheer unbearable mental tumult it inflicts, and those who do will only do so for short periods of time. For this reason, Princeps are assisted in operating these towering war machines by junior officers called Moderati, whose role is to operate some of the Titan systems in their commander's stead, lessening the mental strain placed on the Princeps and allowing for the efficient handling of the machine. The mind link is a very intimate and immersive connection, causing the Princeps and the Titan to leave an imprint in each other's consciousness and grow increasingly alike over time. The Titan's machine spirit will learn from its Princeps and from the battles they take part in, storing the knowledge and making it available at all times and to any Princeps that will command the war machine in the future. The Princeps, on the other hand, will, with time, begin to show traits of character akin to those of his or her war engine. The nature of the machine spirits varies between individual Titans. However, war engines of the same class will be similar. Thus, the commanders of Warhound-class Scout Titans are known to be bellicose and belligerent, and sometimes loners, though the latter may be due to their generally solitary assignments as scouts, while the Princeps of other war engines are more cool-headed and better capable of cooperation as part of a larger force. The Princeps is seated on a command throne in the Titan's head, along with their Moderati several system controllers and second-line bridge officers who act as the Titan's command crew. Lower-ranking officers, called steersmen, who are not in line to ever become Princeps, often control the Titan's most basic functions like locomotion. The number of Moderati and steersmen depends on the size of the Titan, and their duties involve secondary tasks like regulating and maintaining the massive walker's weapons and other systems, as well as monitoring and interpreting readings from the Titan's auspexes, complex arrays of various types of sensors. All Titan officers who are expected to serve as Princeps begin their career at the Collegiate Titanica on Mars, where they are trained in how to pilot and interact with the Titan, as well as many of the doctrines and rituals of the cult Mechanicus. Other Titan crew members include various engineers, usually adeptus Mechanicus tech priests, for repair work and the necessary blessings required by the cult Mechanicus, and servitors who are set on the more mundane tasks required by the Titan, like the manipulation of controls and the monitoring of the external auspex systems. Some of the largest Titans also have adeptus Mechanicus armed forces like Skitarii or Praetorian servitors on board in case an enemy attempts to board and take control of or destroy the Titan. During the Horus Heresy, approximately half of the Titan legions declared support for the War Master Horus alongside the Dark Mechanicum, and since those ancient times, the fickle blessings of the ruinous powers have warped many of them. Although some of the traitor Princeps and Moderati have remained largely unchanged and are presumed to operate their machines as described above, the rest have become hideously disfigured and physically merged with the corrupted war machines they command, linking with them not only in mind, but in flesh as well. During the Horus Heresy, approximately half of the forces of the ancient Mechanicum, including several hundred Titan legions, turned to the service of the War Master Horus, and eventually to the worship of chaos, taking their mighty war machines with them as they became part of what was later called the Dark Mechanicum by the Loyalists. Chaos Titans are usually similar to their Imperial counterparts, but their long exposure to the warping influence of the energies of chaos has changed many of them. In some cases, the crew has physically merged with their machine, making it impossible to tell where one ends and the other begins. Other crews have given themselves and their weapons over solely to one of the four great ruinous powers of chaos. The most infamous of these monster war machines was the Imperator-class Emperor Titan Dies Irae, literally Day of Wrath in High Gothic, which stormed the battlements of the Imperial Palace during the Siege of Terra. It was eventually destroyed 10,000 standard years later during an Iron Warriors campaign against the Imperial world of Hydrocordatus, where the Dies Irae engaged in battle with an entire demi-legion of 12 Imperial Titans, destroying almost all of them before finally being stopped by the Warlord-class Titan Honoris Causa. Like their Imperial counterparts, Chaos Scout Titans dedicated to the pleasure god Slaanesh possess incredible speed, which allows them to start attacking the enemy while the rest of the army is still charging into range. As they skirt around the foe, the Slaaneshi Scout Titans flicker with power, tapping raw energy from the Imperium to maintain their essence within the physical realm. Inside the hardened carapace of each of these fell god engines is the spirit of a bound demon, guiding it with sheer force of will, firing its weapons as one might raise a finger. Like their smaller demon knight counterparts, Slaanesh Titans do not utilize ion shields. Instead, they are surrounded by a glittering wall of energy created by the warp interface within them, which anchors the demonic spirit inside in the material realm. This shifting, swirling aura is called the glamour of Slaanesh and makes a Slaanesh Titan very hard to target accurately. In effect, it works like an Aeldari hollow field and is yet another emulation of that Xenos race's Titans. Like a hollow field, the glamour of Slaanesh proves useless against barrages and other attacks spread over a wide area, as such weapons do not rely on pinpoint accuracy. Additionally, since the glamour of Slaanesh is an interface with the Imperium, it also provides a measure of protection against attacks drawing upon the energies of the warp, such as vortex missiles or psychic powers. Aeldari Titans are quick and nimble machines of war. They are thinly armored, but despite their frailty, Aeldari Titans can pack a mean offensive punch and can move about the battlefield with frightening speed thanks to their jump jets. Instead of the void shields used by other intelligent races' Titans, the Aeldari rely upon advanced holographic field generators, which in conjunction with speed, make their Titans extremely difficult to target. However, hollow fields do not actually deflect enemy firepower, so Aeldari Titans are even more vulnerable should they suffer hits. Aeldari Titans are also unlike those of other starfaring species in that they are powered by the actual spirits of individual craftworld Asuryani, contained in a core of psychoreactive material called Wraithbone, which is a material also used in the construction of the Titan's carapace due to its light weight and great durability. The pilots of the machines link psychically with the Aeldari spirits in their core, rather like the Princeps of an Imperial Titan linking to its artificial intelligence machine spirit, and this allows the Aeldari pilot to control the Titan like an extension of his own body. The Aeldari spirits, however, enhance the skills of the pilot as well as the piloting Aeldari's already superhuman reflexes and reaction times. Bio-Titans are more than exceptionally large Tyranid bioforms. They are on a par with the Titans deployed by the other intelligent races and were created by the Tyranid hive fleets to directly compete with the similar massive war engines they encountered amongst the other races of the Milky Way galaxy. Bio-Titans are deployed in the final stages of the assimilation of a planet into a Tyranid hive fleet's biomass. While their supersized biomechanical weaponry is potent, Bio-Titans are feared mainly for their extreme effectiveness in close combat against enemy Titans and other war engines. They are also considerably faster than Titans of other races. As a result, Bio-Titans often charge towards the enemy. Their Ripper tentacles can neutralize enemy Titan close combat weapons, while monstrous claws will make short work of Titan hulls. Bio-Titans do not generate void shields like those of the Imperial Titans or Orc Gargants. However, they made up for this by being able to regenerate or self-heal. Bio-Titans can generate bioplasma fields to make them less vulnerable to sniping from Imperial volcano cannons, though this ability was present in early Bio-Titans produced by the Tyranids. But newer iterations of Bio-Titans recently encountered by Imperial forces do not seem to possess this ability. Examples of Tyranid Bio-Titans include the Vituperator, the terrifying Hierophant, and the even more monstrous Hydrophant. They are roughly equivalent to the Imperial Warhound, Reaver, and Warlord Titans, respectively. Regular Tyranid bioforms, not war engines, let alone Titans, include the tank-sized burrowing Trigon and the winged Harridan, a Tyranid war engine that is not considered a Titan. The Hierodule was used as the name of the smaller Bio-Titan. The Hierophant was the larger Titan when the model range was released in November 1997. However, the Hierodule is now just another bioform construction. A specialist breed of Bio-Titan is the Dominatrix, a powerful synapse creature that can use its malign intellect to command the hordes of lesser bioforms around itself with ghastly efficiency. In the hierarchy of Tyranids, they are the supreme commanders of the battlefield and second only to the ship-bound Tyranid Norn queens themselves.